So now we come to the final video of this course, which is about customer service. And this is an often forgotten area. Often there's no one in charge of it really. It's just sort of hoped that it's going to happen as a result of having a good culture. And sometimes it does. But all too often, customer service is disappointing. I bet you've got loads of examples of shops and hotels and places where you've been that the service has just been terrible. And I actually think customer service is really vital because it's the main competitive area that's still left. So everybody competes on price, and we know that. Quality is brilliant everywhere nowadays, so we know that. Probably thank the Japanese for that, actually. Back in the 70s and 80s, they showed everybody how to do it. Brands are established, and most of it's been done. But the one thing that gets forgotten quite often is service. And this is your one chance to be better than your competitors. And the great thing is it doesn't really cost very much either. So why would you not? So there are two parts to customer service, the basics and the delight. So the first thing is you need a system to make sure the basics are always done. You make sure you get people's names right, make sure that all your promises are kept, things are sent correctly, everything's done right. I saw a TV programme about a hotel, and they were saying that they had identified 130 ways to fail. What would be some of the things that could go wrong in a hotel? Don't worry, I'm not going to list all 130. Things like the room's too cold, the room's too hot, there's noise, there's no toilet paper, the room's not clean, etc., etc. So they did this list of all the ways that they could fail. And then they made sure they had a system for every single one. So the toilet paper is always replaced, or when it gets below a certain size, they replace it. There's always a spare roll. They have a system for everything. And that's all you've got to do. Decide what your basics are. Make sure there's a system for every single one. So that's not too difficult. It requires a one-off bit of effort. Brainstorm with your team, perhaps, and then it's done. Now, the second part of customer service is the delight factor. What's going to be the extra thing where people say, wow, that was fantastic. We've got to get them back in again. They were great. And this is more difficult because this requires some creativity to think about how you can be different to your competitors. And then it requires systems to make sure you always do it. So if you've decided you're a hotel, you're going to put a chocolate on somebody's pillow, then you need to have a system that a chocolate is always put on someone's pillow every time. I've made a course actually on this specific subject of ideas for how you can be creative for delight ideas. But there's one example from there I'm going to quickly quote. I stayed in a hotel in Athens, and when I arrived, there was a chocolate on my pillow, and that was great, and I ate it. And we went out all day. When we came back in, my wife and I found a chocolate on both of our pillows again. And I thought, that's really good, because normally there's one when you go into the room and that's it. But they'd been in and replaced it. And every day we'd go out and we'd come back and the chocolates were there. One time we came back at lunchtime, the chocolates were already there. And one time we went out and then I realised I'd forgotten something. So I went back to the room and the chocolates were already there. It was almost as if there was someone in the wardrobe, and as soon as I left the room, they would pop out and put a chocolate on my pillow again. I don't know how they did it, but I guess they had a system, which was when we checked out of the hotel, they immediately went up to the room and put the chocolates there. So they just did that every time. So it was always done. But that's a lot of work by them. But I suppose if they're sitting around behind the desk, they've got time, they can do it. I don't know. But it was also quite a lot of chocolate. In fact, I started going out and coming back just to be able to get another chocolate. But the point is, I've recommended that hotel to loads of people. In fact, if you email me, I'll send you the address, because it was a really good hotel. Not just for the chocolates, but everything else was good too. And the chocolates are a sign that the people running that hotel really care. And they're going to make a real effort on everything. The breakfast was good quality. Even the music they played through the hotel was really interesting quality music because they cared. So little delight factors like that are really important and customers do notice them. So for your big company that you're running, or even if it's just you, it's really important to think, what are the delight factors and what processes have we got for generating these delight factors? Do we have a meeting maybe once a year where we brainstorm ideas? Do we send people off to have a look at our competitors and see if there's anything good that they're doing that we can steal? What's our process for being brilliant when it comes to customer service?